Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're back with another episode of the Legal Decode, and today we have with us Minahil Kashif. She's a legal and compliance professional with a master's degree in international commercial law from Coventry University. But alongside her corporate legal work, she has built an international freelancing presence through Upwork, working with clients across different jurisdictions on technology agreements, privacy policies, and compliance documentation. And she's here to talk about how to navigate remote work opportunities whilst being based in Pakistan. That's a very interesting emerging area that's coming up. And with the way the technology is literally shrinking the world, I think this is where the future of law is, particularly post COVID. I think remote opportunities have really sort of made and changed the dynamics of the legal industry for young lawyers, particularly, and female lawyers in this part of the world as well. So we'll be in conversation with Minahil and get to know more about how to navigate these legal work opportunities. But before that, Minahil, thank you so much for joining us today on a Monday afternoon. I know the first day of the week can be very taxing, but thank you so much for joining us and for taking the time out for this very important conversation. Before we embark on this discussion, please tell us a bit about yourself and walk us through your own professional journey.
So, as you know, my name is Minahil, and I have about 9 years of work experience altogether now. I have done my LLB from TILS. Shout out to TILS if anybody is from TILS here.
I did my
And
LLB from TILS. Yeah.
And I did my master's from Coventry University. मेरे master's और LLB में कोई 5 साल का फर्क था. So I was working here and there at that time. But I think my professional journey actually starts from the Beaconhouse head office
Right.
for working for an educational technology platform. So I was there for 4 years. I was one of the pioneers in that particular organization, after which I went to the city school head office as a QA manager, but primarily I was handling most of their contracts, their land agreements, chote mote for this particular school system called the Smart School System.
Right.
So and after which I was like, you know what, I'm done, and I left. And that's when my journey started, officially, completely remotely working from home. But
Interesting.
here's the catch.
Was it like, so sorry to cut you, but like I'm really interested to know that was it the fact of remote working that made you that made you switch to it, or was it just like the fact that this came along, like sort of what prompted you to shift from a proper in-person routine to a remote routine?
That's a very interesting question. So I started working remotely partially back in 2024, summers of 2024. A very dear friend of mine, her name is Nayab, by the name of Nayab Writes on Instagram.
Right.
She gives these Upwork workshops. So I was like, you know what, let me try it. So I tried it, and while I was still doing my full-time job at the Beaconhouse head office, I was working as a freelancer partially. So sometimes I used to get $100, sometimes I used to get 50, sometimes I used to get $20. And then aista aista karke my presence built up, and then eventually I got this opportunity where I was getting an amount which was good enough for me to sit at home.
Right.
So then that's when I decided that, you know what, I don't want to go to the office at 8 a.m. every day, come back home at 6 p.m. I want to stay at home. And I think there's no turning back from me after that.
No, this is so interesting because, usually people want an office routine and that, that pressure कि अच्छा अब हम एक office environment में हैं और डंडा है हमारे सर पे, deadline है, ये है, वो है. But then there are people like you who are very comfortable working in their own space, and not everybody can do this. It is very challenging, I feel, because it requires so much more dedication and commitment and discipline because you're basically on your own in a comfort environment where you can get lazy, where you can just lie down whenever you want to. So like,
oh my god, no.
not
Not at all.
Not at all.
So
Okay.
My biggest reason for taking a remote job was my son. He's 3 years old right now.
Okay, okay.
And मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ा challenge going to the office was leaving him home. कभी
Hmm.
maid नहीं आई, तो
Yeah.
अच्छा सर पकड़ के बैठ गए हो, कभी कुछ हो गया, कभी बीमार हो गया है. So I feel like most Pakistani women, we can't have both worlds. Like you can't be a mom and a working professional at the same time. Like you can't do a 9 to 5 routine, going to the office, going to the gym, and then giving time to your kids as well. And I wanted everything. I
Yeah,
was like, I
absolutely.
want everything. I want to be a mom. I want to be present. I need to have my gym routine and I need to work and earn money and travel and do whatever I want to do. Which is why I was like,
Yeah, that's
कुछ
so
तो करना
interesting. Absolutely, because it's also a commentary on the traditional workplace and how that's not really structured for women like us who want it all, who want to be able to contribute to work and do something with our
पड़ेगा.
lives and yet have a nice, healthy, happy family life, which is a right as well. And we should be entitled to both. Why should we be choosing? So like the workplaces are not as conducive that they would understand a mom's
Yeah.
routine, and they don't really accommodate. So in that context, of course, the remote workspace has really opened up a lot of opportunities. But just to sort of take you back a little bit, in order to for this conversation to proceed, I think it'd be interesting if you could define remote legal work for people who may be unfamiliar with the concept, or who may not, or who may sort of be confusing it with similar concepts like part-time work, or like other um, variations of this. So what exactly is remote legal work?
So remote legal work means being a lawyer for someone without physically being present in that environment, yet maintaining that level of trust and communication with whoever's entrusting you with that amount of work. And let me tell you, sometimes the work is not easy. Sometimes you need to sit down and actually think about what you're giving to this person. What does this person want, and what's he paying you for, or what she's paying you for. So, remote legal work would mean you are in your environment, but yet you need to work as if there is a danda on your head, like you said.
That's challenging, because I mean, I don't know, like in a law firm you have a law library, you have access to resources, you have like a lot of support staff to help you with any orders that you need from the courts and stuff. So is this very different from the kind of work that happens in a litigating law firm, for example? Because I mean, what kind of work is actually possible in a remote setting with the kind of resources one would have at home? Or you think that the digital revolution is such that now this is not that big of a problem or issue anymore as far as access to resources are concerned?
That technology has made life so simple that you can sit here in Pakistan and access the world with your laptop or with your
Hmm.
phone,
Hmm.
right? So I'll give you two perspectives. I am working as a technology lawyer. So my goal, yeah, my job primarily is for enterprise contracts for my company, the company I'm working for currently. However, I have partially done some work for litigation firms as well in the US. And believe it or not, they have everything available online, from somebody who will do your research work to somebody who will write your motions for you. They have a whole system where you file things online.
Right.
It's something called e-filing. So everything you name it is present online, from your templates to your folders, which can be easily made on OneDrive or Google SharePoint. Everything can be done online, from filing a case to winning a case to mediation if it's required. Everything is digital now.
That's interesting. So basically the only resource you're saying that you really need is a good internet connection and your laptop.
And a brain.
And a brain, of course, and a law degree, I suppose. So, okay, that's really interesting. And I know you briefly mentioned it, but what was your very first remote legal opportunity? I know Nayab introduced you to it, I mean, the concept of remote working, but how did you really like land your first online gig, and what platforms or networking methods actually work for finding the kind of remote legal jobs that anybody sitting outside of Pakistan would trust a Pakistani lawyer with, because we do have to face that additional barrier of being Pakistanis as well, right? So, I mean, is that also a challenge? And so, if you could just walk us through your own experience
So
and then generally
af-
comment on this as well.
after I got done with understanding what freelancing platforms are, one of the most popular freelancing platforms on the market right now are Upwork. There are plenty others. Freelancer hai, but Freelancer thoda purana और oversaturated हो गया है. There are a lot of other platforms, such as People Per Hour. There is Fiverr. There's one more, but Upwork for me worked best because I understood how it works. So
Right.
first and foremost, you need to make an account on this platform called Upwork. You अपवर्क जैसा आप मेरे मुझसे पूछ रही हैं, आपने अपने बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन उस पर्टिकुलर प्लेटफॉर्म पे डालनी है, व्हाट यू आर गुड एट, व्हाट यू डू, व्हाट योर स्किल्स आर, एंड trust me, you won't land a job in the first 3 months, not in the first 6 months, not in the first 8 months. You need to keep applying consistently till you find a job. And one thing I would love to tell everybody out there is that you won't get a job for $30 in the first go. Your first job will probably be for $5. My first job was $8 per hour, where I taught this girl how to speak in legal language.
Right.
So she was a girl in America who just got done with her law degree, and she did not know how to write in a legal way. She didn't know what the word motion means, for example, what compliance is, for example. So what I did for her was I drafted her a whole dictionary where I taught her these words one by one, and I took $8 from it. And then gigs just started coming in one by one after that by themselves.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, I mean, it could be uh, not pure legal sort of work that you start off with. And I think as professionals, we should be basically what you're saying is we should be open to such odd sort of jobs that kind of, may not be very purely legal in nature, but, they kind of help you build your profile on such platforms and sort of trust and reputation that then gets you further work and maybe. So has the nature of the work that you receive now changed? Have you moved on from these odd gigs to something that's more meaningful and
Oh,
purely legal?
absolutely. I told you my first job was about $8 per hour. And the last job I got off Upwork was before getting my full-time job was about $2,500 for
That's
the whole
nice.
project that I
That's
did
nice.
in 1 month.
And this full-time job
And
that you're doing is also remote, yeah? Through Upwork?
absolutely, I got it through Upwork. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. This is wonderful. This is so nice. And it's something that still not many people over here in Pakistan are aware of. Would you agree with that statement? Do you think that this is still pretty much a niche area which very few people are familiar with and exploring?
No, Nida, actually, it's not niche. You won't believe it. There's so many people who are earning so much on Upwork now that I am involved in the Upwork community, and I've connected with so many people from so many different fields, from digital website builders to marketing strategists. There are people who run their whole houses
Hmm.
through
No,
Upwork.
but
There
like
are
I
people
was
who's
specifically focused on lawyers. Like within the legal community, you think that this is still an emerging concept of remote work, or is it something that now the younger generation is comfortable with and is already exploiting and exploring?
I feel like this question can go two ways, because I feel like one problem with the younger generation is they want money. They do want money, but they don't understand that to get that money, there is a lot of effort and a lot of hard work required. I feel like today's generation, and don't get me wrong, I know most of them are hardworking, but a lot of other people still believe that एक वीडियो से वायरल हो जाएंगे तो पैसे आ जाएंगे, एक गिग कर लेंगे तो पैसे आ जाएंगे, पहली जॉब करेंगे तो गाड़ी खरीद लेंगे। और ऐसा नहीं होता। हमें आहिस्ता आहिस्ता करके अपने आप को और अपनी प्रोफेशनल लाइफ को और अपने करियर को खुद बिल्ड करना है। So Upwork, yes, it's present. But if you think that, like I said, overnight you're going to apply for a job and you're going to get $100 overnight, you won't do that. It's not going to happen. You need to start from the you need to start rock bottom and then build your way.
That's a
So
very
yes,
interesting thought. Yeah.
जैसे आप कह रही हैं कि फील्ड में जगह अवेलेबल है, इज देयर रूम टू ग्रो? यस, देयर इज रूम टू ग्रो, बट यू नीड टू कीप योर एक्सपेक्टेशंस रॉक बॉटम. That I will start from $6 per hour or $8 per hour, not more than that, and then I will build myself up, and then I'll build my career. As long as you have that in mind, that nobody will give you $30 per hour for a project that you're just starting out with, you're good to go.
Great.
So you
So,
need to
and
align
what
your
are the
expectations.
clients like? Are they all foreign clients on Upwork, outside Pakistan jurisdiction, or do we have like local companies and local employers also looking out for remote employees or freelancers?
I would say 80% of the clients are all foreign nationals. However, you will find a few Pakistanis on the platform, but those Pakistanis would also be operating outside of the Pakistani jurisdiction itself. And
Right.
you're purely lucky if you find somebody who is a good person you can connect with who is Pakistani, because इस तरह के platforms पे अक्सर आपके साथ fraud भी होता है. I worked for some local people and Indian people who have gotten the work done out of me, but I haven't gotten paid from them. So it's really something you need to balance out when you are applying on platforms like this, and you need to be a little careful about who you are dealing with.
That's actually a dimension that I hadn't thought of before, because I thought that these things are kind of being managed by the platform itself. So there's no guarantee, or there's no sort of support from Upwork as a platform when these kind of things happen, or how is the payment actually, like, can you take advance payments, or is there some sort of a
So
security mechanism
there,
to
there are a lot of protections available by Upwork. For example, I apply for a project and it's a one-time fee project. Let's suppose you have written an ad on Upwork saying that contract lawyer needed to review red lines for XYZ agreement, and you are giving a standard $200 fees. You're as a person who's applying for that job, I primarily need to look for two things. Number one, how much money you've spent on Upwork. I'm going to look at how much money you've spent as an employer on Upwork, and number two, what your ratings are.
Okay,
So
so
after the
there's
job
kind of
ends, I rate you and you rate me. However, one mistake a lot of people make is that in the beginning, a person who spent about $100 to $200,000, why would he hire a person who is just starting out with $0 earned in his account? So इन द बिगिनिंग काफी सारे लोग गलती ये करते हैं कि हम ऐसी जॉब्स पे अप्लाई कर देते हैं जहाँ पे एम्प्लॉयर भी नया है और हम भी नए हैं, और उस प्रोसेस में अक्सर गलतियां हो जाती हैं. सो ये चीजें आपको विद टाइम पता चलती हैं कि आपने एम्प्लॉयर को कैसे देखना है और एम्प्लॉयर ने आपको कैसे देखना है. That's where things go
the
down.
whole science
And
to
that's how you can make them right.
अच्छा, so यानी ये फ्रॉड, यानी बाहर के लोग भी फ्रॉड करते हैं, सिर्फ हम वैसे देसी लोग वैसे बदनाम हैं. सही है. नहीं, this is very interesting. But what kind of remote opportunities would you say are currently available for lawyers from the Pakistani origin or from Pakistan? And are international clients open to hiring lawyers from Pakistan? I mean, that
A lot of opportunities are open as long as you show some amount of skill. Look, I'll give you my example. I started as a contract lawyer who was teaching 80% of the time in this organization called Homebridge. So I was teaching there, and I was not a full-time lawyer. I was not working with a full-time firm, but I had the passion to understand everything about contracts from A to Z. So that's how I built my profile up, and I became a contract lawyer. And then eventually, and alhamdulillah, I found a good company that introduced me to technology, and I then started polishing my skills in SaaS and AI and data privacy, and the world just started from there for me. But there are so many jobs for litigation assistance where you file things online, you draft motions, you draft discoveries, personal injury, family law. A lot of law firms online exist which are solely for personal injury and family law, and they're willing to hire lawyers in Pakistan.
And is there, like, you think that there is also a requirement that these Pakistani lawyers be foreign qualified, or will they be comfortable with people who have local law degrees from Pakistan?
So, Nida, I mean, whenever I've interviewed with law firms abroad, I feel like they look at two things. Number one, your level of spoken English, and number two, whether or not you have a personality. I feel like a lot of lawyers, Pakistani lawyers, make this mistake of just showing their degree on paper. But you need to show them some sort of personality that you have, that, you know what, I can handle my work, but I handle my family life like this. I'm disciplined because this is one other thing I like to do, which requires discipline. For example, me, I love to go to the gym, and I'm very disciplined with my gym. I will go to the gym every day, rain or shine. And when employers ask me what's your hobby, and I like, oh, I love lifting, I love the gym, and they were like, oh, that requires a lot of discipline. And I say, yeah, exactly, that requires discipline. So that's what they look at.
Right.
What can you offer them?
So basically, you're saying that it's not just a remote interaction. If they approach you on Upwork, they can also then call you in for a like online interview or something, and then that's how you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
They always call you in for some sort of interview, whether it's on chat or whether it's on Zoom. And these days, a lot of companies, what they do is they ask for this thing called a Loom video. So within Upwork, there's an integration called Loom. And if you look it up, you'll find out about it, where you make a profile online and the companies usually say, tell us a little bit about yourself. Not just your degrees, tell us about you, who you are, who Minahil is, who Nida is. And then you will record that Loom video, must be about 30 to 50 seconds, and then you send it over to them. And then that's a way of shortlisting you or not shortlisting you.
Wow, this is new in the sense that anybody who's been used to just sending so many CVs and going the traditional way. I think speaking on video is not everybody's cup of tea either. Although things are changing now because of social media, everybody's more comfortable with cameras, but still, I think that's really tricky for some people who may find it a little awkward just speaking to a camera about themselves. It's not the same as, say, where there's another person at the end of the screen and
Yeah.
having a two-way conversation, but just recording a video about yourself could be a little tricky for some people.
In the beginning,
That's
when I used to be
interaction.
recording videos, my husband used to look at me like, तुम क्या कर रही हो? तुम views के लिए कर रही हो? And I'm like, नहीं, I'm just applying for a job.
So job applications and the need. So of course, I mean, the technology has its own language and way of doing things, and so I mean, of course, I'm thinking that all of this comes with the package. So if people want to explore remote opportunities, I suppose they should also work on their video recording skills and be comfortable with their talking about themselves on camera. So that's very interesting. But if someone wants to start remote legal work in the next, say, 3 months, what would your advice be? Where should they really begin? Like, how should they start exploring this field?
My advice to them would be, first pick 3 skills you're good at. If you're good at teaching, if you're good at litigating, if you're good at writing, copywriting, whatever it is, legal article writing. I've actually even worked with an immigration law firm where I've written cover letters for people. So pick 3 things you know you're good at, and then build your Upwork profile around that. And once you land your first job, it's all about communication, building trust, and being responsive. If you can do these 3 things, you've cracked the remote legal field. It's in your hand.
Okay, so about the remote legal fee, I was just thinking while you were speaking कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर हमारा ecosystem of receiving payments from abroad, क्या वो इतना friendly है कि अगर payment बाहर से आए तो वो आप तक मतलब पहुंच जाती है, या like how does that work, and is this income considered a remittance, and so is it tax free? Like, what is the mechanism of being paid? And
The mechanism for being paid is that, okay, so I'll talk about Upwork, since while I was freelancing, I was taking most of my payments through Upwork. Upwork में एक चीज होती है called escrow. So as a lawyer, you know that escrow is that a third party holds your income for a certain amount of time till they know that the funds that you are getting are secure and they're legitimate, and then they'll release them to you. So the client will put in money into Upwork's escrow.
Right.
Upwork will verify whether that income is legitimate, कि कार्ड एक्सपायर्ड नहीं है, गलत डिटेल्स नहीं डाली हुई, and then Upwork will release that payment to you in 5 working days.
Right. Right.
How it works. And that money will come directly into your bank account as remittance. And yes, as a law abiding citizen, you need to declare your taxes on them. उसका तरीका वही है कि आपकी एनुअल इनकम जो भी आप कर रहे हैं वो टैक्सेबल होगी. Obviously, remittance के tax is lesser than the taxes you pay. So Pakistan encourages remittance, right?
Yeah.
So you need to declare that income and you need to pay your taxes on it once a year.
Right. Thank you so much for that clarity, because there was a lot of confusion around whether remittances are tax free or not. So I think this really will be very helpful. But what skills do you think helped you adapt successfully to remote work environments? I know one is discipline, but what else?
I feel like one of the biggest reasons why I'm comfortable working from home is my son. He encourages me the most. That I know that वो मेरे पीछे खेल रहा है, अगर चीखें भी मार रहा है, रो भी रहा है, जो मर्जी कर रहा है, मेरे साथ है. I know I'm not dependent on a third party to take care of him while I'm not at home, and that's the biggest reason why I'm working from home. And the flexibility I get around my work, like while most people are in the office from 9 to 5, I am doing my work. I'm catching up on sleep. I am going to the salon if I want to. I'm going to the gym if I want to. I'll catch a Pilates class if I want to. I will spend time with my friends, go meet other moms for lunch, take a nap, and then I know that okay, this time to this time I have to work.
True. So you can set your own routine, but like in terms of skills that you were talking about that one should have and market those to get work, what would those be? So good English you've mentioned discipline, but is there anything in particular that you have developed through the remote work which you may not have developed, a skill that you may not have developed otherwise?
I feel like communication. Communication is a skill which we don't have. Communication and patience, because a lot of your meetings might be at very odd hours, maybe 3 a.m. in the morning, maybe 2 a.m. in the morning. So patience and communication is something that is absolutely essential with remote legal work. शुरू में नहीं आती, शुरू में आपको अजीब लगता है कि मैं क्यों बैठी हूँ, मैं अपने साथ क्यों कर रही हूँ, मैंने क्यों किया. और फिर the fact that while I'm working, the 5 other people that are living in my house might go out for a movie. So FOMO भी होता है कि अच्छा okay, they're going out and I'm sitting in this room, in this very room working.
सही है. So challenges भी हैं, इसका मतलब है. What other challenges you think there are as far as remote working as a remote lawyer?
आपकी पर्सनल और प्रोफेशनल लाइफ काफी ब्लर हो जाती है. जैसे आप सबको ईद पे छुट्टी है, मुझे नहीं है. मुझे अगर मेरी कंपनी से काम आ गया इस वक्त, that Minahil, do these 3 contracts for us, please. Although alhamdulillah, my colleagues are very understanding, and if I tell them that sir, I have this to do, is it okay if I give it to you by this time? He will understand. But work is work. I'm on call, and my husband and my other people in my house are just chilling. So ये चीज आपको understand करनी पड़ेगी that you working as a remote lawyer in the US, UK, Germany, wherever, your life will be very different sitting in Pakistan from the people around you.
Yeah, that's true. But that also brings me to another question that I was just thinking. Do people take your remote role and your job with as much dignity and respect? Like, do they give it the same value? If you put this on your CV, are you taken as seriously as any other lawyer would be? Or do people still have that sort of stigma about this, or not? They don't really understand it, so they don't take it that seriously? Like,
I haven't really tried applying anywhere else yet. फिलहाल तो मेरे सीवी पे लेटेस्ट मेरी जॉब नेट2 एप्स ही लिखी हुई है. So, and I'm happy there, alhamdulillah. I'm very happy working where I am. So I can't really answer that question yet, but I feel like rather than a name on a CV, people would now look at the skills I've learned, which I hadn't before. I didn't know what P2 data is. I didn't know what data privacy is. I didn't know what compliance governance is. And it's an emerging field even within Pakistan.
True.
This form of technology with the uh, uh, data protection laws coming out very soon, I hope. So it's something that will be needed. And I feel like those skills will matter as long as I can prove to my employers, if ever I want to apply for another job, that this is what I can offer you.
And what about people at home, like your family? Do they respect the fact that okay, this you're actually working, you're not just sitting at home? Because sometimes जब आप घर से काम कर रहे होते हो तो even घर वालों को लगता है कि like घर पे ही हो, so they also tend to take it less seriously at times than when you're actually going to an office and then coming back. So घर वालों का क्या?
मेरे घर वालों को समझ आती है वर्क फ्रॉम होम एनवायरनमेंट की, बिकॉज हमारे घर में काफी सारे लोग वर्क फ्रॉम होम करते हैं. My sister-in-law is in the US. She's also working from home. So my mom-in-law is very comfortable with the fact कि घर पे काम करते हैं. हाँ, दिमाग खराब हो जाता है by the end of the day, लेकिन काम कर लेते हैं, घर से ही करते हैं.
ठीक है नहीं, that's interesting. But how do you kind of build trust with clients that you may never meet in person? Like that must be a challenge as well. I mean, I know
Oh,
you
absolutely.
mentioned the fact कि वो कुछ आपकी प्रोफाइल ऐसा ऐसा built हो तो थोड़ा trust वहां से आ जाता है, but even then, this must be definitely more challenging than in an in-person environment.
आपको हमेशा कम्युनिकेशन एक्चुअली खुली रखनी पड़ती है. आई टेल यू, गिव यू वन एग्जांपल. शुरू में माय सेकंड और थर्ड गिग वाज विद दिस मौलाना साहब हु इज बेस्ड समवेयर इन द यूएस. आई डोंट रिमेंबर एग्जैक्टली वो कहाँ बेस्ड थे, लेकिन उन्होंने अपने मस्जिद के बायलॉज बनाने थे. और उन्होंने मुझे हायर किया और साथ दो इंडियन लॉयर्स थी जिनको हायर किया. और कहीं ना कहीं बीच में उनको मेरा काम इतना पसंद नहीं आया. सो आई टोल्ड हिम, ओके डोंट पे मी फॉर माय वर्क इफ यू डिडंट लाइक माय वर्क. वो अलग बात, उन्होंने मुझे में $2 दे दिए थे एज अ बोनस. लेकिन ही लेफ्ट अ गुड रिव्यू ऑन माय प्रोफाइल. उसी तरह से आप वंस यूर हायर्ड फॉर द जॉब, आप क्लाइंट को सिर्फ अपवर्क तक ना रखें. आप उनको अपना ईमेल दें, आप अपना फोन नंबर दें, आप अपना टीम्स आईडी दे दें कि whenever you need me, just reach out to me, leave me a voice note, leave me an email, and I'll respond to you as soon as possible. And then do respond to them. Take 2 minutes out of your time. For example, if you're out for a dinner, आपका client message करता है कि what will happen for this particular thing, क्या मुझे इस चीज की जरूरत है, चाहे क्या मुझे XYZ चीज की जरूरत होगी. आप 2 मिनट लें, आप कहें कि अच्छा ठीक है, I'll respond to you as soon as I get back. Or if they ask you a question which you're not too sure about, tell them, be honest that Jake, I will need to understand what this concept is and I'll get back to you as soon as I've done my homework on it. Be honest. You need to be honest with your work.
That is a very important point, I think, and whether you're working remotely or not, I think this is true for any professional environment, that you should be able to say that you will get back to them if you don't know about something. So that's I think that's true for generally, in any professional capacity or environment. But what trends in global legal services should Pakistani lawyers pay attention to in order to be competitive in this new workspace that has opened up, or
Pay attention to AI.
pay attention?
And I'm not saying depend on AI. I'm not saying कि आपको जो काम मिलता है पूरे पूरे contracts cloud और chat GPT में डाल दो, because वो data protected नहीं है. So to everybody listening to me, if you are putting in information about your clients or your private contracts on chat GPT or cloud, that's not helping you out. In fact, that will eventually put you into trouble. Maybe not abhi, but it will put you into trouble.
True.
Use your redacted contracts, redacted information, and get the best out of it as possible. As comfortable you get with AI, जितना आप comfortable AI के साथ होंगे, उतना काम आपके लिए आसान होगा.
सही.
So train yourself in cloud, train yourself in ChatGPT, Kimi, whatever AI platform you are used to. Open up YouTube videos, follow people who are giving courses on them, and then invest in those courses. I feel like investing $50 or $40 in a course is not a waste of money. I call it self-investment.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. And this is why I think at Women Law also, we felt this there was a whole need to bring up this topic as a theme of the month. So that entire month we could do advocacy around it and create that kind of awareness, particularly because a lot of female lawyers were having this dilemma कि हमने ये नहीं करना या करना भी है कि नहीं, ये चीटिंग तो नहीं है, ये प्लेजरिज्म तो मतलब, सो देयर वाज दिस एथिकल एंड मॉरल डायलेमा कि ये पता नहीं ये सही भी है कि नहीं, ये हमारा काम है भी कि नहीं, लाइक. And I was looking at the male lawyers, and they were very quickly training themselves in using these tools. And obviously, their output at work was putting them much ahead of the female counterparts who were still debating कि ये करना भी है कि नहीं. So I think now it's no longer a question about करना है कि नहीं. I think now it's a question about how to do it, how to responsibly do it. But करना है तो is definitely a given now. I mean, जिस तरीके से ये अब आ चुका है, even with the new
Hmm.
national judicial policy that we have, the guidelines that have been issued, and the fact that judges की training हो रही है, मतलब it has disrupted the legal industry in Pakistan as well now. And अब हो गई है disruption और ये चीज आ गई है, तो it's better to just get the hang of it.
Jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it, you can't, because otherwise बहुत ज्यादा गैप आ जाएगा ना. लाइक एंड लाइक जितने मेरे भी लॉ फर्म के जो हेड्स वगैरह हैं, उनकी भी अगर मैं बातें सुनती हूँ ना, पार्टनर्स वगैरह, तो वो भी इंडिकेशन यही दे रहे होते हैं कि अब एक ऐसा एसोसिएट जो लीगली, चलो ट्रेनिंग लीगली तो हम कर ही लेंगे, लेकिन जिसको एआई का पता हो या एआई चलाना आता हो, यूज करना आता हो, तो वो ऑब्वियसली उनके लिए भी एक क्वेश्चन ऑफ एफिशिएंसी और क्वेश्चन है कि अच्छा, एडेड स्किल के साथ ये एक रिसोर्स हम हायर कर रहे हैं. So they would be more willing to have that person in the team as opposed to somebody who's not well versed with AI or all these modern tools. So ये trend अब है, and that's why I would like more women lawyers to be open to the idea कि ये करना है और सीखना है, और इसको इसको कैसे हम बेस्ट यूज कर सकते हैं रिस्पॉन्सिबली अपने काम को एनहांस करने के लिए.
देखिए, एआई आपको आजकल सब कुछ बता देता है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपको एक छोटा सा वर्ड का भी इशू आ रहा है ना, जैसे आई वॉज वर्किंग विद somebody who had integrated word into AI. This was a while back, right? तो वो तरीका ये था कि वो आपको एक डॉक्यूमेंट भेजेंगे और उस डॉक्यूमेंट पे कलेक्टिवली 4 लोग काम करेंगे. दिस इज नॉट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑफिस, इट्स माइक्रोसॉफ्ट डेस्कटॉप.
Right.
एंड माई प्रॉब्लम वो सॉल्व बाय चैट जीपीटी, हु टोल्ड मी कि आप अनलाइसेंस्ड वर्जन यूज कर रही हैं, इसलिए आपका काम नहीं कर रहा, आप लाइसेंस वर्जन खरीदिए. सो ये छोटी सी छोटी चीजें जिसके लिए आपको आईटी के पास भागना पड़ता था, या आप समझ नहीं आता था आपको, इन 2 minutes एवरीथिंग इज डन. Similarly, AI will not help you tackle issues of indemnity or liability, or these technical issues which are risks to your company. But AI can help you really understand a clause if you need to understand it,
True.
which is why it's important for you.
No, I think that's a very important thought, and we hope to have more sessions around that topic with you as well. In particular, अभी तो हमारा focus obviously remote legal work opportunities पे था, but इसके अंदर भी, like you've mentioned, that this is an area that people need to wake up to and really sort of push and develop these
Yeah.
skills. And it's like learning anything new. जब initially COVID में ये Zoom meetings और ये सब आया था, ये भी बड़ा नया कल्चर था, बट पीपल अडेप्टेड टू दिस ऑल्सो, एंड नाउ इट्स बिकम सो कन्वीनियंट के मतलब हम फॉर ग्रांटेड ले रहे होते हैं कि अच्छा यार, एक जगह पे नहीं जा सकते तो चलो ऑनलाइन हमें ज्वाइन करा लो कॉन्फ्रेंस में, वट एवर.
Hmm.
आई मीन staying updated with times and being aware of what tools there are to access spaces, I think that's always a good idea. But before we conclude, I'd really like to hear from you, what if you have any message that you'd like to leave for aspiring lawyers who feel uncertain about their future, uncertain AI की वजह से भी, और ये disruption और emerging areas की वजह से भी, and also generally भी, मतलब it is a very uncertain future, particularly given the political situation in the country or the way where our profession generally is going. उस सब में फिर remote work क्या एक आउटलेट बन सकता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर बहुत चैलेंजेस हैं जनरली भी. सो द फ्यूचर लॉयर्स के लिए वैसे ही अनसर्टन है. फिर यहाँ पे आपको पता है जनरली छोटे जो यंग लॉयर्स वगैरह हैं, उनके कोई अच्छे इनकम स्ट्रीम्स भी नहीं हैं. कोई फंड्स या सपोर्ट नेटवर्क्स उस तरह से नहीं है. समटाइम्स वही पेड इंटर्नशिप्स भी नहीं है, या इवन इन देयर जॉब्स इनिशियली उनके पास अच्छी सैलरीज नहीं होती हैं. सो सैचुरेटेड भी है मार्केट काफ़ी हद तक. फिर लिटिगेशन और उस सब के भी अपने
हम्म।
चैलेंजेस हैं. एंड गिवन दैट women फेस मोर ऑफ दीज challenges, यू थिंक कि इन सब चैलेंजेस और अनसर्टन फ्यूचर जो है इसके अंदर रिमोट वर्किंग अगेन एक साइन ऑफ रिलीफ या एक अपॉर्चुनिटी हो सकता है? और इसके अलावा क्या आप मैसेज देना चाहेंगी फॉर सच लॉयर्स?
क्या मैसेज ये होगा कि योर करियर्स डोंट ग्रो इन स्ट्रेट लाइंस, यू नीड टू बेंड द लाइन लिटिल बिट. इससे मुराद ये है कि आप डिफरेंट चीजें ट्राई आउट करें. डोंट पुट योर एग्स ऑल इन वन बास्केट. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I was that one person who was very scared to step out of my comfort zone, which was, teaching. When I grew, when I was forced out of that comfort zone, I was like, मुझे force किया गया कि आप यहाँ से बाहर निकलें, और मैं निकली. And then I realized the world it's huge and there are so many opportunities, but you need to be willing to take those up, and you need to be willing to start from scratch, from zero. The second thing I will tell to all lawyers, female lawyers specifically, is invest in yourself. So if you really want your career to grow, आप एक आध दिन या एक आध बार वो 10,000 रुपए जो आपने सैलून जाके लगाने हैं, या हमने जो हमें शौक होता है कि हमने जोड़ा लेना है, कपड़े लेने हैं, शूज लेने हैं, use that 10,000 rupees, buy your connects, make a profile on Upwork, buy connects. Upwork पे एक चीज होती है called connects, जिससे आप अप्लाई करते हैं जॉब्स के लिए. Buy yourself your Upwork freedom, or any freelancing platform you want to go to. But I feel like once a month, जो हमने अपने पर्सनल सेल्फ केयर के लिए बजट रखा होता है, मोस्ट फीमेल लॉयर्स, मोस्ट फीमेल्स लॉयर्स भी छोड़े, फीमेल्स, हम सब के पास एक छोटा सा बजट होगा, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, कि आपने जो इस पैसे का करना है आप करें. मेरा ख्याल है उस पैसे को स्मार्टली इन्वेस्ट करें, अपने ऊपर इन्वेस्ट करें, कोई कोर्स खरीद लें. अपवर्क अगर आपके पास है, या कोई और फ्रीलांसिंग प्लेटफॉर्म है, उस पे कनेक्ट या वो करेंसी लें जिस करेंसी से आप आगे जॉब्स के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. एंड देन वेट फॉर द मैजिक टू हैपन, बट ट्रस्ट योरसेल्फ. दैट्स व्हाट आई मीन टू से.
That's such a wonderful thought. Keep, like investing in yourself and having then putting yourself out there for the opportunities to find you and being prepared for those. I think that's an excellent thought. And plus having the patience to let that magic happen. I think इससे बेहतर क्लोजिंग नोट नहीं हो सकता. एंड
मेरा ख्याल है कि सेल्फ केयर जो है ना, वो सिर्फ आई लव अ गुड स्पा डे, बट आई फील लाइक self-care for me is knowing that I can have 5 spa days after I invest this money somewhere.
I think ये जो मनी सेंस है ना, ये भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है while we are growing up and learning कि कैसे अपनी लाइफ हमने मैनेज करनी है. एंड you're right, I mean हम लोग यहाँ पर अभी भी इन चीज़ों को ना कोई सिखाता है, ना कोई बताता है, ना कोई बात करता है इन चीज़ों के ऊपर. एंड यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा लाहौर में ख़ास तौर पे कल्चर यही है कि अभी भी जो कॉन्फ्रेंसेज हैं या इवेंट्स हैं या ट्रेनिंग्स हो रही हैं, पीपल वुड एक्सपेक्ट कि ये फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट कंडक्ट की जाएं, या फिर बस मिल जाए. सो द कल्चर ऑफ पेइंग फॉर कोर्सेज अभी भी मतलब कर रहे हैं लोग. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि नहीं हो रहा, बट स्टिल आई थिंक इट इज़ नॉट accepted as much as like you said, जोड़ा खरीद लिया या spa. So like I think we're still more comfortable spending money on that kind of personal care, but not personal growth as such. But hopefully that will change and we can with the quality of content, वो भी बहुत होता है ना, लोग skeptical होते हैं कि पता नहीं क्या ही सीखेंगे या ये अच्छा कोर्स है भी कि नहीं. सो आई थिंक वो वहाँ पे भी एक ट्रस्ट फैक्टर आ जाता है. बट आई थिंक देर इज नाउ लाइक विद योर एग्जाम्पल, मुझे लगता है कि देर इज नो you can't take no for an answer, in the sense कि आपके पास अब इतने सारे प्लेटफॉर्म्स मौजूद हैं, इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज मौजूद हैं कि आप उस बात पे अब टंगे नहीं रह सकते कि जी लॉ फर्म ने हायर नहीं किया या लॉ फर्म की डिस्क्रिमिनेटरी, मतलब नाउ यू हैव so many ways to make yourself stand out or to अप्रोच अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन अ वे जो आपको बिल्ड अप करके आपका एक करियर एस्टैब्लिश कर सकती हैं. सो आई थिंक नाउ अ लॉट बॉइल्स डाउन टू द इंसेंटिव दैट द पर्सन themselves has or does not have
Yes.
as far as or how invested they are in their career. But I think your example really opens up many doors for people to realize that the whole world is open to them now, with the technology and everything. इट्स नॉट जस्ट कि आप जिस विसिनिटी में एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं आपने बस उधर ही की फर्म्स में एक्सप्लोर करना है कि क्या अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं, या वहीं के स्कूलों में अप्लाई करना है और वहीं के बच्चों को पढ़ाना है, लाइक दिस. आई फील लाइक आप यहाँ बैठ के जब अमेरिका के किसी बच्चे को ट्यूशन दे रही हैं या किसी के लिए कोई लेटर ड्राफ्ट कर रही हैं, यूर लिटरली एक ग्लोबल आप उसके अंदर compete भी कर रहे हैं. आपके स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑब्वियसली फिर उसी हिसाब से होने चाहिए, because you're not just competing with your own fellows. It's the whole world that you're up against. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit daunting also, but it's also empowering to realize that you can work in so many jurisdictions and gain such multicultural exposure and experience, which is just not comparable with the exposure you will probably have within Pakistan, so to say. So
It's you painting an image of your own country, that this is what we are,
yes,
this is what Pakistan is.
that's another thing. But I'm so inspired. Even I feel like setting up my Upwork profile now, and I
You should
might reach
definitely
out
do
to you
it.
for support and for help in doing that. And likewise, if for those who are listening to us, if you have any questions for Minahil afterwards, if you want to reach out to her for any specific queries, you can write to us and we'll be sure to put you through her. हम आप हमें DM कर सकते हैं. हमारे जो email address मौजूद है womenlaw@learnpark.com.pk, उस पे भी आप reach out कर सकते हैं. And we will definitely forward any of your queries to Minahil, and hopefully she will get back to us, and we'll be
I
there
will.
to support you and guide you if you want to have a more sort of direct conversation with her on how to set up your Upwork profile and any other queries as far as this topic is concerned. Minahil, on that note, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us all of these wonderful insights. They were invaluable, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for yourself and for having this conversation, what you've done for all the people who are listening and who will be inspired by your journey and who will then hopefully pursue a path in this direction and make a life out for themselves. So thank you so much for this. It means a lot, and I wish you all the best with your work and your whatever future holds for you. Thank you so much for being with us.